You are only responsible for one thing. Forget all of the rest of that to-do list. You are only responsible to teach your child principles of truth.
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty.
2023 has not been a good year for quite a few YouTubers. Many issues have surrounded creators like SSSniperwolf, Colleen, Ruby Franke from 8 Passengers, and more. In this video, we are going to say goodbye to 2023 by discussing a bunch of these creators and giving some important updates on their situations. Hello everybody and happy new year. 2023 has been insane. And we're not even a week into 2024 and it has been absolutely relentless chaos, but I'm gonna save that for a different video. Anyway, I wanted to talk about so many of the things that have happened throughout the year of 2023. There are so many topics that we have covered that all seem to have updates to them, and I figured instead of doing another deep dive into each topic individually, to kind of just do one long video going over the certain topics we've covered in 2023 and the newer updates, so that way we could start off 2024 with a fresh start, talk about some new things. Now, I want to make it clear that just because I want to start off 2024 with some different topics, it does not mean I will never talk about any of these topics again. In fact, there are at least 2 topics on my list today that I will more than likely be doing another longer deep dive video on. But for right now, I just want to wrap up some of the biggest situations we have discussed over this past year. With that being said, I will be dividing each topic up into chapters. If you are interested in one topic, you can check the description or the timestamp below, but I hope you stick around for the full video because I love having you here and I love knowing what you think about everything we have to talk about in these mashup videos. Now, before we continue, I'd love to give a special thank you to today's sponsor, Babbel. One of my dreams is to travel to Italy at some point in the future. I don't know if I'll actually get there before 2024 ends, but it is something that I really want to do within the next couple of years. But before traveling, I want to brush up on my language skills so that way I feel more confident in having actual conversations in Italian. With Babbel, learning a new language is very fun and efficient. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world. The app is designed by real language instructors, and the lessons are planned so that you can have real-world conversations regarding things like business, travel, relationships, and so much more. I really like how many options you have to review each lesson, such as flashcards, games, writing and speaking exercises, and more.
Scusa.
Scusa.
Il pesce.
Il pesce.
Il cane.
Il cane.
Il gatto.
Il gatto. Il cane. Babbel also provides live classes with real teachers. You'll actually get 2 free classes with your subscription. Babbel has also scientifically proven to help you with learning a new language within 3 weeks. And don't worry, if you aren't happy with it for any reason, Babbel has a 20-day money-back guarantee. If you're interested in trying out Babbel for yourself, check out my link in the description below to get 60% off of your subscription. Grazie, Babbel, for sponsoring today's video, and with that being said, let's get back into today's topic. Many severe updates have taken place. If you do not know, there is a channel known as 8 Passengers. It was a family vlogging channel that had millions of subscribers, and to be completely honest with you, family vlogging content is something that is unfortunately fairly popular on YouTube and on places like TikTok and Instagram as well. But on YouTube, there seem to be a lot of channels that just don't do things ethically, and the worst of the worst has been this particular channel. Now, the head of this channel went by the name of Ruby Franke. I don't know why I said went by the name. She still goes by that name. That's her name, Ruby Franke. I will have my previous videos on this topic linked in the description below. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of videos linked below. I'm just warning you now. Ruby Franke and her husband, or should I say ex-husband, Kevin Franke, because he actually filed for divorce. That's one of the updates, and I spoiled it for you, but you've probably already heard about that. They have received a lot of criticism over the years with their 8 8-passenger channel due to the way that they would treat their kids, the punishments that they would use, the strict rules that they had in their household, and the way that they would just milk their children like cows for content, yet somehow treat them so horribly at the same time. Kevin Franke is somebody who I think should also be receiving a lot of criticism in this situation, but because it's Ruby Franke and somebody else who we'll get into in a moment, Jodi Hildebrandt, who were arrested and charged with child and neglect, again, we'll get into that in a moment, he seems like he hasn't gotten as much criticism. But even throughout the years when Ruby and her husband were together and actively filming these vlogs together, it seemed like only Ruby was really getting most of the backlash. People just kind of forget about him. A lot of the scandals that have happened over the years on the 8-passenger channel involved sending one of their kids to one of those troubled teen programs that was labeled as a wilderness program, and in this wilderness program, they were sleeping outside without beds. But then after that situation, when he returned home, some time went by and he had actually played a prank on one of his younger brothers, woke him up really early in the morning and told him to get his bags packed because they were planning a family trip to Disney. Was that mean? Yeah. But did that justify the punishment he received? In my opinion, absolutely not. What they had done was take his bed away for, if I can remember correctly, 7 months, where he was only sleeping on a beanbag chair. Now, every time I talk about this situation, I always bring up one thing because I think it's really important to show the effects of how bad sleeping on something like a beanbag chair could hurt somebody. Years ago, I had a beanbag couch, not a beanbag chair, and it was a very comfortable thing to sit and lay on. It was fluffy and felt like you were laying on a cloud, and it was great. I actually really miss it. I really, really wish that I still had that sometimes. This thing was so comfortable that I began sleeping on it instead of my own bed. However, what the beanbag couch did not have that my bed did, and what I didn't realize for quite a while, was it didn't have the proper support for my back, for my neck, for my head, and I ended up getting very severe headaches. It was the beanbag couch that I was sleeping on. I wasn't getting the proper support for my neck and my head, and it was causing very severe headaches. The reason why I bring this up every time I hear about this beanbag chair incident is because a beanbag chair, like I said, is significantly less comfortable, significantly smaller, significantly harder to sleep on. I can't imagine what type of pain that sleeping on a beanbag chair could cause. Think about how much worse that it must have been for this poor kid to be forced to sleep on a beanbag chair every single night for months and months and months. When criticized for this, Ruby justified this by saying that taking away his bed was something that was suggested by professionals because when he was sent to the wilderness camp, that is the first thing that they did, and that was to show discipline. What you're showing is not only neglect, but you're also putting your child in a position where they could potentially get hurt. If you're sleeping in a bad position for months and months, it could very much hurt your back, your neck, your head, and just cause a lot of problems, especially with somebody who is young and growing. I can't imagine the type of effects it could have on that as well. But like everything regarding the 8-passenger situation, it gets worse because aside from this, Ruby has also shown how strict of a parent she was. She had demanded that her children know to pack themselves a lunch every morning before school. Now, okay, maybe if you're in high school, especially like your later years, sure, maybe that's an expectation that you should start teaching your kids if you want to, but the children that she had these expectations for were very, very young. If I remember correctly, her daughter was 6 years old and expected to pack a lunch for school. 6. One day, she forgot to pack herself a lunch, and her teacher contacted Ruby asking if she can bring a lunch to school for her. And not only did Ruby say no, because she told me she packed a lunch and she was responsible for packing her lunches for school every day, but 2, that she hoped nobody would feed her child because it was a lesson to be learned so she wouldn't forget again. She was 6 years old. What is wrong with you?
I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch.
And unfortunately, that wasn't even the only time that this had happened. There was another clip of her vlogging herself on the phone, talking to another one of her very young children, saying, "Oh, you forgot to bring a lunch? I'm really sorry. When you come home, I'll have a really yummy snack for you, but you're just gonna have to hold out until the rest of the day." And then she said, as she hung up the phone, that he sounded like he was going to cry. Of course, your kid is going to cry. They're hungry and being neglected. There are so many other situations like this that I've gone over in previous videos. Several clips have circulated online, but then things got really weird over this past year because she stopped posting on the 8 Passengers channel when she started working with another creator known as Jodi Hildebrandt, and together they worked in this program called Connections. The scariest part about this is in this new program Connections, they began making content that would give advice to other parents, and a lot of this advice would be just as horrific as some of the things that she had previously mentioned on her 8 Passengers channel. So now she is not only affecting her own kids, putting them in a position where they're being shown to the world, milking them like cows instead of treating them like her children, but now they have gotten themselves in a situation where they're giving advice to families, and this type of advice could absolutely cause so much damage to parents and their children and families in general, and this type of stuff went on for a very long time, and it was sickening. And things continued to get really creepy as they would constantly repeat phrases like living in distortion. Distortion was the biggest word that would constantly be brought up over and over again. You're living in distortion. This is distortion. And it was basically anything that they didn't agree with, which is really interesting because when you dive deeper into this entire situation, the people who have the most distorted reality seem to be Ruby and Jodi in this situation. But as always, things get worse. On August 30th of 2023, Ruby and Jodi were both arrested after one of Ruby's children had escaped their home and gone to a neighbor's house asking for food and water, and the condition that this child was in is unimaginable. This is all stuff that I've mentioned in previous videos up to this point. The update on this situation is that there has been a hearing with both Ruby and Jodi. Ruby Franke was originally charged with 6 counts of aggravated child but pled to 4, and Jodi pled guilty to 4 as well, despite also originally being charged with 6.
Ms. Franke, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, aggravated child abuse, second-degree felony?
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty.
Ms. Hildebrandt, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, also aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
They're both waiting for their sentencing, which will be in February. Hopefully, it's pretty harsh for both of them. I do know that it seems that Ruby has put blame on Jodi, which is interesting, really interesting, especially considering the fact that she has such a backlog of content showing how she has treated her children prior to being involved with Connections. Overall, the saddest thing about this situation is things should have been done so much sooner. It's so frustrating because there are so many people who have talked about this over the past few years. Actually, there were so many people who were trying to get help for these kids or voice concern so that way maybe something could be done or that they would hopefully change. It reached a point where a child was left in this condition before anything was done about it. That should have never happened. It should have never gotten to that point, and that is a really sad failure on the behalf of authorities that could have helped sooner. Hopefully I don't have to talk about 8 Passengers too much more within the near future. I probably will do another update when this sentencing is complete and go over a few more things again. But unless anything else really insane happens, hopefully that's it on that note for a while. There are 2 creators who I think have done a really great job at covering the 8 Passengers situation. The first is a YouTuber that goes by Markie. I think I mentioned him before on one of my previous videos talking about 8 Passengers. He has done so many videos covering every little detail regarding Ruby Franke and Jodi and Ruby's husband and just 8 Passengers in general for years at this point. So I'm gonna link his channel down below. And then a creator known as iNabber actually uploaded a very long video on 8 passengers within the past few weeks, and it is a very detailed, in-depth video. It's over 5 hours long, almost 6 hours actually. But if you want to know everything from A to Z up until the most recent point of them being arrested, I would highly check out that video if you want to sit down and consume everything all at once. So I highly recommend that as well. Once again, both of those will be linked in the description below, along with several other links that we haven't even got to. This is still just the first topic. People were mentioning something regarding another family vlogging channel, which is the Labrant Family. Now, they are still active on YouTube, and they have gotten a lot of backlash as well. This channel isn't as bad as 8 Passengers, but they have done a lot of questionable things and a lot of things that really gross not just myself, but many others out. From the parents, Savannah and Cole Labrant, documenting things and making really clickbaity titles on stuff. At one point, Cole even making a clickbait video where he made his audience assume that one of his children had cancer when they didn't, and it was just his anxiety about his kid having cancer while doing a documentary on other kids having cancer. He had a different title and a different thumbnail for a short period of time until he got a lot of backlash, and then he changed it. There had been another time when they had clickbaited the California wildfires. He's also been known for making several questionable comments online, which have been absolutely disgusting. Like I've mentioned previously with the 8 Passengers video, I've done a video discussing more about this in detail, which I will link below as well. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to mention this family channel again is he had come out with another comment, which people have caught right away. It was deleted very quickly, but people screenshotted it, and I just want to read it for you and let you be the judge on what to think about this. So a Twitter user named Goldie pointed out, oh my god, there's so many things wrong here, providing screenshots of Cole Labrant's story on Instagram. Savannah's either been pregnant or breastfeeding a newborn for 90% of our 7-year marriage. I hope I still like her even when she's not pregnant or breastfeeding, because I can't really remember what that's like. Now, obviously, this isn't nearly to the scale of the things that Ruby has done with 8 Passengers, but I just still find this astonishing. First of all, for the past 7 years, they've been treating their children like cash cows for content, literally filming them and putting it on YouTube. From the moment they are born, they have a camera shoved in their face. They're brought into this world almost like the Truman Show, if you've seen that movie. This is something that is very obviously a career for them, and this is something that is seen by millions of people, and their children just get absolutely zero privacy from the moment that they are born. This camera is shoved in their face, and they are just another coin in their piggy bank. Secondly, I just think that this is really odd to say, especially publicly, saying I hope I like you just as much as I have the past 7 years, saying you can't remember what it's like for her to not be pregnant. She's still your wife, she's still somebody you're supposed to love. I'm sure that if you actually legitimately care about her, that you should be able to still continue that love and care even when she's not pregnant, and this is just such a weird thing to say. And of course, when given criticism, he doubles down and says this: be so for real, even if that was supposed to be a joke, that's incredibly rude to say. I hope I still like her when she's not pregnant. What the f? I wasn't joking. I really hope I still like it when you're not pregnant, Savannah Labrant, because I like you a lot right now, and I hope I always will like you a lot. I don't think that's rude to say. In my opinion, it sounds like he was trying to twist the context a little bit there and trying to make it sound like, oh no, I wasn't talking about, you know, her being pregnant. I was just saying I like her a lot right now, and I hope I continue to like her this much with these changes. Then you should have just said it like that. You shouldn't have added the pregnancy part in there. It just is really weird. Now, is this the worst thing that he said? No. He said a lot of controversial things before involving his family that have been very strange. Is this the worst thing that they have done out of all of their scandals? Also, no. It's just something to add to their record of several issues within this channel itself. And I just wanted to add this in here because since we were talking about other family channels, I figured this is another situation. I haven't heard anybody really talk about this other than seeing a few posts resharing the screenshot. I just wanted to throw this in here with a little quick update and say this channel still sucks. This next one's going to be really short, but this is an update to a video I have made at the end of the summer, which was talking about awful wedding vow TikToks. I had done an entire video talking about mostly grooms who have just ruined their weddings. Some involved smashing the bride's face into their wedding cake, some have shown actions of being violent, some were just really vulgar with their wedding vows. So with the rise of viral TikTok wedding videos and people failing their vows and whatnot, there's been another video posted where a bride is giving heartfelt vows to her husband at the center of their wedding, and he responds with a very short, I don't even know what to say. Are these even wedding vows? He just makes a one-sentence statement pretty much, and this is what he says.
I promise to smack that ass every chance I get. That's all I got.
All right, well, after that touching exchange, I guess there's only one thing left to do, and that's for me to do my part. So, by the power vested in me by the state of Kentucky, the United Life Church, and the Church of Bacon, I now pronounce you man and wife. You may seal it with a kiss.
Ooh, lovely.
You have your partner pouring their heart out to you, giving you their vows, and trying to make this a memorable, sentimental moment.
But when I say I wouldn't be more proud in the man, dad, and partner you are today, I mean it, and I have fallen in love with you over and over again.
And you respond with that.
I promise to smack that ass every chance I get.
That's really all I have to say about it. There's not much more to add. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. This is the least serious issue in this entire video, so that's why it's so short. So to give you a little bit of a recap, especially if you do not know, Colleen Ballinger is a creator with millions of followers on several different platforms. She also goes by the name Miranda Sings, and over this past summer of 2023, she had been exposed for being extraordinarily creepy. She had been outright horrific to a lot of her younger followers. One of the most horrific allegations made against her was that she participated in the distribution of unclothed images of other adults in group chats with children, which would be distributing porn. It is alleged that there were other people in these chats sending those pictures, but it's also alleged that she participated in this, and her response was to make a ukulele video apologizing, but not actually apologizing. She didn't apologize once. It was more of a ukulele response video. And on top of everything being just absolutely horrific with the situation, it's also just ruined ukuleles as an instrument. There's been a very long rabbit hole with this. I'll link my previous videos in the description below on the situation. Once again, this is just kind of giving you a brief understanding what has happened, but she has recently made more comments regarding this situation, talking about being canceled and how she feels about this. On January 4th, 2024, Colleen uploaded a video titled Reflecting on 2023, where she goes into more about her experience with everything that has happened this past year. There's one thing I want to mention before even getting into this video. I find it very astonishing. She seems to be one of the very few creators on YouTube who has been able to come back from something so worldwide known. Everybody has seen the ukulele apology video. People who don't even watch YouTubers have seen this. It had made mainstream media headlines. It has caused so much backlash. She has also had so many accusations against her and so much scrutiny and criticism, yet she is still receiving almost the same amount of views on her channel now after everything that she was receiving prior to this cancellation, if you will. And I put it in quotations because if she were truly canceled, then she wouldn't be able to come back and receive the same amount of viewership that she has been receiving prior to this. The reason why I'm stuck on that is because any other channel we have seen who has gotten canceled seems like their viewership would plummet. Maybe her younger audience doesn't necessarily care too much about this, but even SSSniperwolf had taken a nosedive in her viewership. And if we look at creators like iilluminaughtii, who again we'll be talking about later, her views have tanked after everything that had happened. Each situation is different. It just is so interesting to me that Colleen Ballinger seems to have come out of this without that much consequence, other than taking a break from the internet and getting criticism for it by her followers or by people who know about the situation. In fact, it's even more interesting when you find that it doesn't seem that YouTube had demonetized her, at least as far as I'm aware, yet creators like SSSniperwolf had been demonetized for the situation she was in. Again, completely different situations, but the thing that should be noted is that it just seems like people behind YouTube pick and choose who is going to get punished and who isn't, but we already have known that for a while. So in the video reflecting on 2023, she goes on about how she wants to spend 2024 listening more, reflecting more, and just overall, I suppose, improving. It seems very similar to the things she had stated in the beginning of her coming back to this vlogging channel, while also understanding that she can't change what she did in the past. She also talks about not posting as frequently, which is really interesting because in my opinion, this is something that nobody can really prove as fact, so this is just speculation, but she had spontaneously come back right during the fall season when ad revenue was at its peak and had remained consistent throughout the holiday season, and now that it's January, she is going to take a step back and not do that every day. I find that particularly interesting, but again, you can't really prove that for certain unless she stated it as fact herself. It just seems really coincidental. She then spends a fair amount of time talking about rocks again.
I tried to come to the beach for sunset and there's so many rocks.
When it comes to a solution to this situation, I really don't know if there is one. It seems like she's just going to continue to make content regardless of any backlash she gets. The only thing I could suggest is that if you're a parent of somebody who might watch her vlogs, to just be mindful and be careful of the many situations she has been involved in over the years to make sure that your kids aren't getting into any type of harm. There is actually one more update that I just found out about that I had to go back in and add to this video, which is the fact that Colleen is still denying all of the accusations.
Obviously, a lot happened last year. A lot was said last year. I lost that opportunity right after a story came out about me that was just completely made up, and it is what it is, and you know, we're moving forward.
With all of the public information that we have available online about this situation, I currently believe that this is a lie. Here's the thing, she did not make this video for you or I who do not believe her. She made this for her core audience that still follows her, and I truly believe that due to the fact that she is extremely vague whenever mentioning this situation. She just made a video talking about how she had messed up, she regrets her previous response, that she can't change what she's done in the past and that she's trying to be better in the future. If these stories were made up as she is claiming, why would she make that video? And why would she not make a video debunking everything if it truly was made up? Or at least attempting to prove her side of the story, because I understand that when it comes to accusations being made, it is way harder to prove your innocence than it is to prove that someone's guilty. But given all of the information that we currently have access to online about this situation, I personally believe that she is lying in this clip. But that's just my own personal opinion based off of everything we know at this point in time. So let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. And with that being said, let's get on to our next topic, which is what many of you have probably been waiting for me to talk about, the SSSniperwolf situation. It's been a moment since we've talked about SSSniperwolf. So I'm actually going to be much more brief than one would anticipate me being in this video, considering the deep dives I have done regarding SSSniperwolf over the past year. I have done very long videos discussing her, and that is because I'm probably going to be doing another video on her in the near future, going over a lot more information. I just want to give you a brief update from my last video. I have made several videos talking about SSSniperwolf over this past year, and the year prior. SSSniperwolf is a creator who reacts to TikToks on YouTube. Before that, she had done gaming content and has had another account named Sexy Sniper. Allegedly, do I have to say allegedly at this point? It's very obviously was her, in my opinion, allegedly, but there have been points when she has tried to act like that this other channel wasn't her. Anyway, it's been a pretty rough year for SSSniperwolf. Her content, which has been very seemingly favored by YouTube, she is a very popular creator with millions and millions of subscribers, millions of viewers, and just an overall appreciation from YouTube constantly through tweets. She is a creator who has gotten criticism by another YouTuber who has been on the platform for a very long time, known as JacksFilms, and JacksFilms has pointed out a lot of things that she has done regarding blatant content theft, at some points not even reacting to the content, just putting the videos in there and forgetting to, you know, do the reacting part, and talked about how what she is doing is something that is completely unfair to smaller creators whose videos she is taking for herself and farming. JacksFilms had made a second channel called JacksFilms. JacksFilms had made several videos reacting to SSSniperwolf's reaction content, and the reason he did this was because he was pretty upset with YouTube praising SSSniperwolf for this content, which has been debated on whether or not he had taken it too far, but in my opinion, it's definitely not as serious as what SSSniperwolf had done after this. And this, by the way, isn't her only scandal, as my previous videos dive deeper into other things she has done that has shown a relentless pattern of more than a decade of continuously being an awful person. And I word it that way because it's not like I wanted to point out like 10 years ago she did something awful, but now she's improved her character and has shown herself to be better. No, she has continuously shown to have done terrible things as a track record from years ago all the way up to the current day, over and over and over again. And she had once again shown that by retaliating to JacksFilms in the form of showing up to his house, taking a picture of the front of his house, posting it on her social media for 5 million of her followers to see, and trying to antagonize JacksFilms and get him to come outside of his house, potentially putting him in a very dangerous situation. She had also done many other things like attacking other creators, especially other creators who are women. She just really seems to be nasty, and she also seems to spread a lot of misinformation to ruin the reputation of others, which I've also discussed in my previous video. She had been particularly nasty to creators such as Azzyland, Girl Gone Gamer, Enigmahood, the list goes on. But another thing that was brought up a lot was the fact that during her going to JacksFilms' house and putting him at risk and in danger, not just himself, but his family, people had pointed out that she had been arrested before. I had reported on this as well. And there's one thing I want to bring up that a lot of you have brought to my attention in the comments of my most recent video, which is the discussion of her being arrested for armed robbery. Now, I said in that video, you know, we can't confirm or deny that what she is saying is true because it's her experience against this report, and there wasn't a lot of information in the report to debunk anything that she was saying. In her response video, she tried to claim that she was arrested for armed robbery due to the fact that somebody thought that she was shoplifting. She was being followed by what would be loss prevention. She claimed that she didn't realize it was loss prevention and she had gotten in an altercation with them. She said, oh, well, he was this big man and I was such a teeny tiny small woman. How could I possibly have overpowered him? Kind of playing that card. She essentially tried to turn it into this has been a misunderstanding and basically tried to sell herself as innocent in the situation. And like I had previously mentioned in that video, due to the lack of public information available, it was really hard to tell if what she was saying was the truth or not, except the fact that people were pointing out, again in the comments below, that being arrested for armed robbery would require her to be armed with something. So yeah, it might not have been truthful on her behalf. Again, I want to say I wasn't there, and I also don't have access to more detailed information regarding the report other than this picture, which has been spread all over, but that's what we have, and I just wanted to point that out because a lot of you are mentioning that in the comments. Aside from that, there have been some updates. Now, she has been going through a legal battle with her future ex-husband, Evan Young, aka Sausage. And by the way, I want to point out that even though there's this legal battle that has been going on between them, I don't want to make it seem like Sausage is completely innocent in this situation. He had participated in a lot of the nasty behavior that SSSniperwolf was involved in over the years, including the harassment of other creators and just outright being really despicable to others. It might not have been as bad as Leah, but it definitely has been documented that he participated in this nastiness as well over the years. But when it comes to this lawsuit, there are a few updates that I wanted to mention. And again, a huge thank you to the Madcatster. I'm linking his channel once again down in the description below. This is the first out of 2 times that he will be mentioned in this video. He is really good when it comes to going over legal cases. He is an attorney, so he knows a lot of information about legal cases, and he has a very good understanding of them and takes an interest in talking about these cases regarding large creators like SSniperwolf and iilluminaughtii, who we will be talking about later. The Madcatster had been the first person to break this story open regarding SSniperwolf and Sausage and this legal battle. He just has done a phenomenal job at covering this situation. So again, I'll be linking his videos below, but yes, it does appear that things didn't really go in Leah's favor. So SSniperwolf has been dealing with this lawsuit from her future ex-husband, Evan, aka Sausage. You see, they were not just married, but also business partners. To make a long story short, after they separated, Leah allegedly tried to reap all of the benefits of their YouTube channel for herself instead of it being shared between the both of them. After Evan filed his lawsuit, Leah's legal team tried to counterclaim before a decision was made. Their responses held really strange analogies that, in my unprofessional legal opinion, could be seen as a mockery to the court. I can't imagine that anybody else in the court would be happy about that. Again, I'm not a legal expert, but in my opinion, that comes off as disrespectful. Anyway, SSniperwolf's team wanted to have this handled in family court, which normally deals with things like divorce. This would make this situation as easy as it possibly could be. In any other court, her outcome would be even worse than whatever the outcome already might have been had it stayed in family court. Now, Evan and Leah are getting divorced, so her team was probably trying their hardest to keep it at that level, with that in mind. However, big thanks to the Madcatster once again for shedding light on this. This request was denied. SSniperwolf's team really tried to have this case dismissed, and as you can see here, it is ordered denying defendant's motion to dismiss. Let's dive a little bit deeper for a second. So if we go back, it states the court has reviewed and considered the following: A, the defendant's motion to dismiss filed on October 5th, 2023, response to the defendant's motion to dismiss filed October 24th, 2023, and defendant's reply in support of motion to dismiss filed November 11th, 2023. When reviewing a motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim, allegations in the complaint that are well pled are taken as admitted. In addition to the well pled facts, the court is entitled to consider all reasonable interpretations of such facts. As this is also explained in Madcatster's video, basically what they're saying here is that whether Leah and her legal team like it or not, the other side of this will be considered, especially since Sausage or Evan is the one who made the complaint in the first place. They are going to consider all the facts in this situation and go over it carefully. The defense that SSniperwolf and her legal team had made was basically trying to claim that Sausage had done everything that he accused her of in this legal complaint. And if what I understand is correct, it's basically, oh no, he's actually the one that's doing this, not me, so you should listen to me and not him. And they're not going to do that. As it states here, a motion to dismiss is not a procedure for resolving disputes about the facts or merits of a case. Instead, the narrow question presented by a motion to dismiss for the failure to state a claim is whether the facts alleged in a complaint are sufficient to warrant allowing the plaintiff to attempt to prove its case. Dismissal is permitted only when plaintiff would not be entitled to relief under any interpretation of the facts susceptible of proof. Moreover, a motion to dismiss requires a court to accept all material facts alleged by the non-moving party as true. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. So I will be going over this in more detail in a future video, as well as other situations regarding SSSniperwolf. I just wanted to give you a brief update here and let you know that no, I haven't forgotten about this situation. I will be talking about her at least one more time at some point in 2024. For right now, I just wanted to let you know about that. With that being said, let's get into our last topic. Speaking of lawsuits, let's talk about iilluminaughtii. Again, there are some updates that I want to share with you. It just doesn't get easier when it comes to Blair. Everything just gets worse. iilluminaughtii is another creator who seems to have something else come out every few weeks. There's just always updates. With that being said, there are several updates since the last video I made, which was not that long ago. But to summarize things as fast as I possibly can, giving you a little bit of an elevator pitch here basically, iilluminaughtii is a creator who has been well known for being in the anti-MLM community, multi-level marketing. There had been a lot of things that have come to light that were really unfavorable about her, and this all happened this past year. It all started when she had accused another creator known as Legal Eagle for having somebody on his team try to steal her video editing style. That escalated into a whole bunch of other things. It eventually turned into her former friends and colleagues coming out against her because I assume they felt pressured to talk about her, or they were getting asked about her because they had made statements saying that no, they no longer associate with iilluminaughtii and they have had their own problems with her. And then that escalated to other creators talking about their experiences with her. But some of the biggest conflicts that have been shown over the past few months after all of this has been exposed to the public involve creators such as Oz Media and Wonderstruck, especially when it comes to Oz Media, because Oz had actually revealed that he and Blair used to date, and that was a bombshell in and of itself because nobody actually seemed to be aware of that until a video he made titled "Let's Talk, an Update on iilluminaughtii Drama." In that video, he also stated that he was making a very long video discussing everything regarding Blair and his experience with her, with the understanding that that video that he had made could potentially land itself on a courtroom floor at some point, and detailed a lot of accusations of Blair taking advantage of him financially and also taking advantage of the lack of life experience he had at that point, with her being in her 30s and him being in his very early 20s. And in that video, he also talked about his worry of Blair taking away his home, which led to a tweet or a post on X, if you want to call it X, or if you want to call it Twitter, whatever. He had shared that he was going to do a live stream to try and raise money to prevent her from foreclosing his house. And very quickly during this live stream, his goal was not only met, but went well beyond what he was actually expecting to get, and he had gained a lot of support, which was great. That was the last I had discussed anything regarding this situation. That is where my most recent video had ended. Shortly after that, he had made this post here. Lawyer approved tweet. I am currently being sued by Blair, also known as the iilluminaughtii, as well as her company, Pyramid Entertainment Group. I cannot believe that's actually what, okay, anyway. Pyramid Entertainment Group LLC for defamation. This lawsuit was filed 1 week after Blair had pushed me into foreclosure proceedings in August and had been something I've needed to fight behind the scenes alongside the foreclosure. More info to come. This has been ongoing since late August, early September. So in other words, while I had to fight my home being foreclosed on, I've also had equal stress of this hanging over my head. He later stated, I am officially out of foreclosure proceedings with Blair and her company. This doesn't mean that things are over, but it's one step closer to having my life back. Thank you everyone who supported me so far, whether through donations, kind words, being there for my streams, and all the little things that have been done. Thank you. What's interesting is the fact that shortly after this, more legal information had come out, and in another video done by the Madcatster he had shared, I will also link in the description below, she has gotten herself in a lot of trouble with tax issues when it comes to somebody's personal finances and if they're going through financial issues. That is one thing that I personally don't feel good discussing. The only reason why I find it very important to mention in this this situation is because how this entire story spiraled, the accusations from other people talking about her in this state seem to be a little bit more validated by this. But on top of that, it is causing speculation that perhaps this is why Blair is attempting to sue as many people as she possibly can. But really, at the end of the day, we don't know for sure. They could be two separate situations. It could be her ego trying to get back at some point or retaliate, or it could be that she genuinely thinks that she could get some sort of redemption from it. I don't know. If you want to know more about this, definitely check out the Madcatster's video linked in the description below and let me know your thoughts on that. One last thing when it comes to iilluminaughtii is that a creator known as HBomberGuy, he had done a really long video on plagiarism recently and had also been the first person to point out on Twitter how much she has plagiarized other videos when she was trying to claim that Legal Eagle was plagiarizing her. Well, HBomberGuy pointed out a recent video from iilluminaughtii that shared a clip with about 5 minutes of dead air in it. This was to point out how low her quality control has gotten for her videos. And now listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've never made an editing mistake. I make editing mistakes all the time. Lots of people make editing mistakes in their videos all the time. But what's interesting regarding iilluminaughtii is that she at one point did have a team of people helping her create this content. I don't know if she still does or if that team has gotten smaller, but I think this was mostly to point out that if she still has a team at all, the quality control for that team has gone downhill since everything had happened. What's interesting is that this video has been up for 2 weeks. She has not taken it down. She has not taken the clip out, and she turned off comments instead of just fixing the situation. Like I mentioned, it's more than just the editing mistake. I don't think people would necessarily care if this were any other YouTuber that had a mistake in their video. I think it is a little weird that she didn't fix the situation or take it down, but I think what people really care more about in this situation is the speculation of, is she still having a large team edit her videos? Is she having people check her videos? Or is all of this the direct result of everything that has happened over this past year? And will her quality continue to drop because of it? If anything escalates, especially if Oz Media does eventually post this really long video that he's allegedly working on, if there's anything really huge, I will be sure to update you on it. I just want to know what your thoughts on this are, and I want to know what your thoughts on everything that we have talked about so far have been. I have one more topic to discuss with you, which is just personal updates. I really appreciate it if you've made it all the way to this point. And once again, if you have any thoughts or concerns about anything we have talked about in this video so far, please let me know in the comments down below. With that being said, let's get into the last thing here. 2023 has been a extremely chaotic year with both good and bad things. I think the best thing to have happened, not just this year, but in my life, was that in 2023, I have gotten married, which was a wonderful, beautiful day. And on the flip side of that, earlier in the year, somebody very, very important to me had gotten very sick and had gone downhill over the course of several months and had passed away in the summer, which was extraordinarily difficult, and it was a very devastating situation. It's just been a really tough year. As I continue to heal from that, I've also, at the end of 2023 and going into the current day, have experienced some health issues of my own. To be completely honest, I don't have answers as to what it actually can be right now. I have answers to some things, but not everything. I have a problem with my thyroid, which is something called a goiter, and it's something that I've had since I was a teenager. It's something that they would monitor every 3 to 5 years. I get ultrasounds every time they do an ultrasound. There were no severe abnormalities, just the fact that it's on the larger side. This past month, I had gotten an ultrasound on my thyroid and an ultrasound on my pelvic area because, believe it or not, I also have, hate that this rhymes, a fibroid, which is a non-cancerous growth. Both of these things have grown since my last ultrasound on them. I'm going to see an endocrinologist, try and get more information regarding my thyroid. It definitely seems like there's some sort of hormonal issue going on. I'm going to doctors to figure figure out what it could be. A couple of years ago, I had something similar where I've had to wait months and months to find out what was wrong with me because I was getting heart palpitations and I was getting like all these other problems, and I found out that I was iron deficient and anemic. It wasn't something that they found with a regular blood test. They had to check specifically for my iron levels, and I was given medication and it made me feel better. But even taking that medication now, it is not helping the current symptoms I have, and the current symptoms I have feel significantly worse. There's a lot of other things too, but I'm sparing those details because one, they are a little TMI, and two, I just don't know if I feel comfortable sharing that publicly anyway. So yeah, I don't know if I will give any more updates on that other than letting you know if I'm feeling better. I have so many plans for videos for this month specifically. There's so many things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the dream situation, the Yandere dev situation. I just want to talk about some crazy things that have been happening since the start of 2024, and it hasn't even been a week into the new year yet, and I'm trying really hard to make sure that I get that content finished and ready and out. With that being said, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who has made it all the way to the end of this video. I want to let you know that I greatly appreciate it, especially if you've listened to me ramble about my own personal stuff going on. And I also want to give a huge thank you to everybody who has been supporting me over on Patreon, to anybody who has given me a super thanks. Thank you once again, and I will see you in the next video.